I did not do hamstrings yesterday. I felt a little bit too scrappy to the point where I think it would have been better to save hamstrings for tonight and use yesterday to kind of recover a little bit. Because in terms of my actual body, like my quads and my chest and my arms, I feel pretty good. But one specific part of me is fucking compromised. Presumably my fucking sinuses. I think I have some kind of something or other. So I'm just freaking using up tissue boxes and coughing my ass off. Not cool. Not freaking cool. So apart from just, maintaining my routine like normal, I'm trying to be especially diligent about hydrating with electrolytes right now. Because it must just be a fucking result of my sinuses being so fucked up or whatever. But I've kind of been going in and out of a pretty rough headache. And that doesn't just happen out of nowhere, right? Pretty much, if you can imagine, your brain is inside of your skull. I think we all get that part. And then in between your brain and your skull is this fucking kind of layer, this membrane, which is very, let's just say, what's the word I'm thinking of here? Let's just say it's very fickle with the amount of fluids it lets in and out, so it's not just it doesn't want to be too inflated and it doesn't want to be too empty, it doesn't want to be stretched out or too shrunk down. So if you don't have a lot of fluids flowing around in your system, and I guess a good chunk of them are being used to facilitate the fucking, just deal with kind of being all sick up here, it can kind of fuck with you, So when it comes to headaches, not just from being sick, but even just, people who get fucking headaches, 9 times out of 10, I feel like if I were to ask them, okay, all right, you got worst case scenario, you got a headache when you're working out, so then it can stop you from actually exerting yourself, because changing your blood pressure by like really flexing and pushing in a set is gonna flare it up to hell. But 9 times out of 10, if I were to ask somebody with a fucking badass headache, and of course not badass in a cool way, all right, what did you drink today? How much water have you had? You have any electrolyte packets? You have a Gatorade? Or if you're watching your calories, you have a Gatorade Zero? It's like, they're probably going to tell me they had a coffee and that's it. Maybe they had a little bit of sip of water or something. But come on, you need way more fluids than that, especially if you're active in any capacity. I'm not saying I'm not going to say a 150-pound dude needs a gallon of water a day, but it probably wouldn't hurt him. It probably would not hurt him. I used to kind of track and make sure I would get a gallon, but I don't know. I feel like as of late I've gotten a little more lenient with it, where it's not like I hit a gallon specifically every day, but I'm kind of bouncing around, 3 liters-ish. I try to slam 1 right when I wake up in the morning, because you got to remember, you just slept 8 hours, ideally. No food, no water. And, half the shit is just getting turned into piss. And then just by breathing, when you breathe out, if you were to take like if you were like to measure the humidity of the air around you and the air that you're breathing out, you breathe out humid air. So just one night of breathing, you're constantly losing fluids. So if there's any time in the day where you really got to chug something, I think right in the morning is probably your best bet. So it is not the morning though, it's fucking evening, because I kind of spent oh goodness. I kind of spent the whole day sleeping. But yeah, I feel a bit better now, even though it may not sound like it. So cardio, home, more food, and then followed by hamstrings tonight. That'll be kind of a late lift. I'm not really, as soon as I finish it, I'm definitely going to make sure to go to bed just so I keep my sleep schedule on a reasonably normal, let's just say situation or whatever. Because I got to go back to school next week. So it's not really going to be in my best interest to, go to bed at 3 a.m. Even though it won't affect the lift, if I have to be awake for some shit at 8 and I've got to do my cardio before then, fuck, man. It's, in terms of gains, sacrificing your sleep to maintain a routine is, let's just say, it's very unlikely you're going to maintain a steady level of progress. You get these big 3 things, which if you fuck with them, your training is going to get fucked up, or your progress. Your training itself, your diet, including fluids, and your sleep. So if any one of these 3 things is totally out of whack, look, you can expect to see some fucking, well, you can expect not to see some results. But let's go sit on the cardio bike for a minute, or 30 rather. Do an unpumped pump check. Just kind of see how we're looking this far into the bulk, and then come back home. So this is kind of a quick one, but it's because I took a rest day yesterday. So maybe I'll have something. Maybe I'll have some deep insight to share with you on the way back. But we're getting pretty close, so let's just get in there. Okay, some time has passed. I wanted to sit in the car and actually let it warm up for a minute, and also watch TikToks. But I was thinking about it, and for the most part, when I talk about working out, at least for me, there isn't really, apart from really extenuating circumstances, there's not really a situation where I'm going to say, at least not super willingly, all right, let's skip the gym. Let's skip the workout. No cardio today. Screw it. For the most part, it's nearly a guarantee. Nearly a guarantee. But that is not to say that I'm like maxed out on my enthusiasm every lift. Like even earlier today, which is a pretty good example because like my baseline, just like how I felt today was pretty, kind of trash. But you watch a couple of TikTok edits, or you hear a song, or just something triggers your mind in a very, hype-inducing kind of way. You get hyped up. You're like, yeah, holy shit, come on. You watch a badass motivational something or other, and it gets you going. I'm fucking like, oh yeah, come on. It's like I'm excited to work out later. Like my excitement levels have spiked completely, 0 to 100. But then, an hour later, that feeling's gone. Right? That momentary hype and excitement, that's not like something you can consistently rely on, Because it's not like, I guess if you have a home gym, it's a little bit better because you're right there. But if you go to the gym on a reasonably scheduled routine, it's not like you can just go as soon as you really feel like it. It's kind of like if you get a crazy surge of motivation and hype at noon, but you don't work out until you're out of class at like 6. Your best bet is to just try to call back on it later. So ideally, that'll kind of match up with when you go work out. But all I'm trying to say is, it may be a good idea to be able to really remember every time you get kind of hyped up and excited. Because you can't necessarily feel that in the moment all the time. Like, usually with the workouts themselves for me, sorry for all the sick noises, but for the most part, with all the workouts, the weight sessions themselves, those are pretty fun. I always enjoy it. I like it. I feel good going hard. It's kind of, I'd have to be, I don't know, I'd have to have some real shit going on in my life to be kind of like upset and in a bad mood while I'm working out. You know, it's a safe place in a sense, but it's not all fun and games. You know, like the cardio, it's not super fun. I'm not excited to go do the cardio every day, but whatever, man. It's just a stepping stone. You know, it's just one step closer to, you know, whatever my end goal is. And if you can kind of treat it that way, I mean, fuck, man. Who are you doing this stuff for? You know, like, it's pretty easy to say, fuck, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to do my homework just because my teacher told me to. But if you actually want to do something, if you want to make gains, and then you decide that cardio is going to be a part of that process, and come on, we all know that it's literally good for you. Cardio is legitimately good for you. You know, out of all the things that I do, the cardio is up there in the top. It's S class when it comes to things that you can emulate from me and actually get something out of it. So it kind of just comes down to how bad do you want it? You know, like you have, I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to be jacked? I think if you gave people a switch, which they could flip, and it would automatically make them be excited to work out every day and do their cardio and like get in shape. If you gave anyone that switch, or if you gave anyone like the choice to immediately have a really fit, muscularly developed build, I'm not even talking bodybuilding training wise, but it could be any kind of training you like. You know, fucking even parkour dudes doing street workouts, those guys are fucking yoked. Maybe not so big, but that's not the point for everybody. You know, so if anybody gave you that fucking button, or maybe to, you know, my kind of older demographic, if anybody gave you a button that said, do you want your high school build or your college build back? You want to reverse time and be that shape? Everyone in their fucking mom would hit it. But if if in subtext underneath that button it said, okay, this is going to take a few years, you have to go to the gym every day, you have to be mindful about your diet and eat specific things, sometimes eat a little bit more than you're comfortable with, and sometimes, you know, have to limit your calorie intake. You know, how many people you think are going to hit that button? Fuck, I mean, it's as many people as are working out now are the ones that will, you know, because they can understand, and for them, the work that goes into it for the end result is worth it. And something that's also kind of cool, and not just about working out. Of course, I would recommend that to everybody, even people who aren't like real gym nuts. Just because even if your thing is like you want to become a world-class programmer or chess player or whatever, you still have a body, and it's going to do you good to keep it in at least decent shape. Um, but, not only are you working towards some end result, even if it's kind of arbitrary, like just getting bigger or whatever, that's not the only benefit that you get. You know, there's kind of an unspoken benefit to really kind of devoting yourself in daily practice of any variety, is it just makes you a fucking, I don't want to say a better person. You know, there's fucking assholes out there who are ripped and go to the gym every day. But it will kind of make you more developed, you know, because instead of just following the hive mind of, you know, just doing whatever anybody else does and fucking spending all your free time just relaxing, not really working towards something, you know, you've picked something, and it could be a lot of things, which you like and you want to get better at. And not only will you enjoy getting, you know, closer to whatever your end goal is in them, you'll just get to enjoy the process of doing it. You know, it's like, that's something I feel like a lot of people are missing. You know, like if you were a let's just say a non extracurricular activity high school kind of guy, Those lights look kind of yellow. Like if you just went to school and you came home and that was it, fuck man, I think you're missing out, you know? There's more to life. That's all I'm really trying to say there. So I totally sound like dog shit. Gonna go home and eat. Maybe take a nap. Shower off. Definitely a long, hot shower to try to clear up my sinuses. And then hamstrings tonight. So I'll do a little, just to conclude, you need at least something, even if it's just one thing to, enjoy on your own, practicing, not for anybody else's approval or sake, but just because it brings you kind of an inner satisfaction. And if you don't have something like that, or if you know somebody who doesn't have something like that, once you can recognize that in somebody, and I don't mean you should just start ripping on your dogs, like, dude, you don't even fucking lift, bro. Like I'm not saying bully somebody, but a lot of the times you can kind of see it in how they act. They definitely are missing something. So that's all I got to say there, whether or not you get it. But I will see you tomorrow.